Stress is not because of your job, your family, or your life situation. Stress happens simply because you do not know how to handle your own system. You may have noticed that your mind becomes noisy in moments when you expect it to feel calm. Sometimes it happens when you finally have time to rest, or when there's nothing urgently wrong, or when life looks okay from the outside. And yet inside, your thoughts keep moving, your attention keeps jumping, and silence feels strangely difficult to stay with. Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, but because the way you've been relating to your own mind has slowly turned into a kind of constant effort. In this video, we're going to talk about why that happens. We'll explore why the mind feels overloaded, why you may feel like you're always on, and why peace doesn't come from trying harder to control your thoughts, but from understanding what the mind actually is and what role it was meant to play in your life. This matters now because so many people believe that a quiet mind is something you earn through discipline or perfection, and when the quiet doesn't come, they assume they're failing. But maybe the problem is not you. Maybe the way you've been trained to use your mind is simply out of alignment with how awareness naturally functions. So let's walk gently, step by step. Most of us grew up assuming that the mind is the center of who we are. Thoughts appear, and they instantly feel personal. The inner voice sounds like you. Memories feel like you. Reactions, doubts, stories, all of it becomes your identity. And when that identity is built entirely inside the mind, every shift in thought or emotion feels like the ground beneath you is moving. But the truth is quieter than that. The mind is not the source of you. The mind is a tool that appears inside your awareness. A beautiful, complex, useful tool. But still, only a tool. It helps you plan. It helps you communicate. It helps you solve problems and navigate the world. What it was never meant to do is carry the full weight of your existence. And when it tries, it becomes overloaded. So overwhelm is not proof that you're failing. It is simply feedback that the mind is doing a job it was never designed to do. Let's slow down here for a moment just to reorient. You are the awareness that notices thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. And when you begin to see this, gently, not forcefully, the intensity inside your head starts to soften, not by suppression, not by force, but because the mind doesn't have to pretend to be something it isn't anymore. Now let's look at why the mind learned to take on so much responsibility. From a very young age, most people are taught, directly or indirectly, that safety, acceptance, and belonging depend on managing life perfectly. So the mind starts working overtime. It scans for threats. It remembers mistakes. It repeats conversations. It predicts outcomes. It checks whether you're doing enough, whether you're good enough, whether you're safe enough. Over time, this becomes normal. Constant inner activity turns into the default state. The mind believes it must always monitor everything. So even in peaceful moments, it can't relax. Not because silence is impossible, but because silence feels risky. Here's a small reset point so things stay simple. Your mind isn't the enemy. It's just tired from trying to be something it was never meant to be. Now let's look at another layer of this. Your experience of life, moment to moment, reflects the state you are operating from. When you're calm inside, the world feels more spacious. When you're tense inside, the world feels tighter. The same situation, the same day, the same responsibilities, but experienced through a different inner state. So, overwhelm is not always coming from the situation. It's often coming from the state of awareness you're living from. That means the version of you who feels overwhelmed is not the only version that exists. There are many ways you can show up inside your own life, and each way comes with its own emotional climate, its own sense of clarity, its own level of ease or tension. Overwhelm is simply one of those states, temporary, familiar, but not final. And when you forget that, suffering feels deeply personal. It feels like, this is just how I am, when in reality it's simply the reflection of the inner position you're currently standing in. There's nothing wrong with you for standing there. You simply haven't been shown the doorway to a different position yet. Let's reset again. There's nothing dramatic you need to do. No mental fight required, just awareness. Now we'll look at something important. Many people secretly believe that their worth depends on improvement. So the mind lives in constant measurement mode. How am I doing? Am I better than yesterday? Did I fix this yet? Life becomes a self-evaluation exercise, but your basic awareness, the simple fact that you exist, doesn't need improvement. It doesn't score itself, it doesn't compare, it doesn't track progress. It simply is. What changes is your clarity in noticing it. And clarity doesn't come from pressure, it comes from ease. Another simple reminder here: overwhelm isn't a punishment. It's a signal that your attention has collapsed into the mind alone, and you were never meant to live only there. Now let's talk about something subtle. As children, we naturally rest in awareness. There are long moments when we simply look, simply listen, simply exist, without narration, without analysis. Over time, layers form: expectations, beliefs, self-image, stories, roles, all perfectly normal. But as those layers grow, the quiet space behind them becomes less obvious. It doesn't disappear, it just goes unnoticed. So part of this journey is not learning something new, but remembering something natural. Not dramatic awakening, just gentle recognition of what has always been here, a place in you that doesn't need to think in order to exist. Let's pause again and let the mind breathe. You don't have to silence your thoughts. You just don't have to live inside them. Now, something interesting tends to happen when you begin to sense this shift. The old identity, built on ideas about who you are, may start to loosen. The mind senses change, and because it believes it must stay in control, it might think even more than before. It may analyze what's happening, question it, try to turn it into a method, try to track whether you're doing it right. That's okay. The mind is simply doing what it knows. But your deeper awareness doesn't need to manage this process. It doesn't need to secure an outcome. It doesn't need to understand everything. It already is what you are looking for. The more familiar that becomes, the lighter your inner world feels. Now let's gently explore the role of effort. Many people believe that effort alone creates change, so they push harder. They discipline themselves, they monitor their thoughts, they try to force calm. But effort without inner alignment leads to tension, because the mind is trying to achieve what only awareness can reveal. Two people can perform the same action. One feels strained, the other feels grounded. The difference isn't the action, it's the inner state from which the action arises. So this isn't really about changing what you do, it's about discovering where you're acting from. Let's recenter again. Imagine the sky. Clouds move across it, sometimes light, sometimes heavy. The sky doesn't resist them, and the clouds never damage the sky. Your awareness is like that. Thoughts are simply passing patterns. When you believe you are the clouds, life becomes stormy. When you remember you are the sky, weather becomes weather. Not a problem, just movement. Now let's touch something very human. Sometimes when you begin to sense that you are more than your mind, a subtle grief can appear. Not sadness in a dramatic sense, more like the recognition that you spent many years believing that pressure was necessary, that struggle was required, that you had to constantly earn your right to exist. But there is a deeper truth. You don't need to become anything in order to be allowed to be here. Awareness is already complete, and when the mind relaxes into that truth, it doesn't disappear. It simply takes its natural place, as a helper, not a master. Before we continue, here's a soft optional reflection. If you feel comfortable, you can share in the comments what your mind usually does when silence shows up. Not to analyze yourself, just to observe. Sometimes writing it down reveals how automatic these patterns really are. Now let's move forward. Overwhelm becomes chronic when the mind believes that it must control life. But life is not meant to be controlled in that way. It unfolds, it reflects, it responds to your inner position. Alignment, the natural harmony between your awareness and your actions, creates flow. Force creates friction. So peace is not laziness, and clarity is not passivity. They are simply signs that your actions are emerging from a grounded place rather than a pressured one. Let's ground this with a simple metaphor. Imagine water in a lake. When the surface is agitated, the reflection becomes distorted. You can't see clearly, but the distortion isn't a problem with the world being reflected. It's just movement on the surface. When the water settles, clarity appears by itself, not as a reward, just as a natural result of stillness. Your inner world works the same way. Stillness doesn't need to be forced, it only needs space. And as space returns, the need to constantly think softens, not because you won, but because the struggle was never necessary. There's something important to understand about why the mind becomes noisy. Your mind was never meant to be the whole show. It's more like a group of performers in a circus. When each part of you is working together, your body, your emotions, your thoughts, your awareness, life feels coordinated. Things move smoothly. There's an inner rhythm. But when one performer insists on running the entire stage alone, chaos begins. That's what happens when the mind tries to control everything. It isn't wrong. It's just doing too much. And the more pressure you place on it, the more unstable it becomes. Like a performer who keeps looking down instead of simply moving with the swing. So one of the biggest misunderstandings is thinking that the solution to mental noise is to control the mind harder. But control only adds tension, and tension makes the swings shake even more. A quieter mind comes not from force but from ease, and ease comes from being fully involved with life instead of being trapped inside commentary about life. Think about this for a second. When you're completely absorbed in something you love, a conversation, a project, a moment in nature, a child laughing, the mind becomes surprisingly quiet. Not because you shut it down, but because you are fully present. Your interest fills the moment. There's no leftover space for mental noise, so the mind isn't your enemy. It simply gets restless when you stop living directly and start living mostly in your head. Let's rest here for a brief moment, just so the idea can land softly. Presence doesn't mean sitting still. Presence means being completely available to life as it unfolds. And when you are fully available, the mind naturally calms. Now let's look at the opposite state. Overwhelm usually comes with hesitation. Part of you says yes to life. Another part holds back. One day you feel deeply open. Another day you retreat. One moment you trust. The next, you brace. And when you live in this constant back and forth, the mind has no stable ground to rest on. It keeps asking, are we safe? Are we sure? Should we move forward? Should we pull back? This internal split creates endless commentary. But when you begin to move through life with a softer kind of openness, a simple willingness to meet life directly, something changes. You don't need every outcome to be predictable. You don't need every moment to be controlled. And as that trust grows, the mind can finally breathe. Because now, life isn't something it has to defend you from. Here's a gentle reset thought. Overwhelm doesn't come from life being too big. It comes from resistance inside you being too tight. Now, let's talk about inner well-being. Your ability to work, to love, to create, to relate, all of it depends on how pleasant you feel inside your own skin. Not in a superficial sense, but in the simple feeling of being at home within yourself. When your inner state is calm and open, your body functions better, your thinking clears, your choices become steadier. Science recognizes this, but more importantly, your own life experiences confirm it. Think about times when you felt peaceful. How did the world look? Now think about times when you were tense. How did the same world look then? The world didn't change. Your state did, which means this. Your inner state is the real foundation of your life. And when your inner world is neglected, when you never pause, never reset, never return to yourself, life begins to feel heavy. Not because life is heavy, but because you are carrying everything from a strained inner position. That's why silence feels refreshing. It's like servicing the inside of your being. You take care of the outside all the time, work, meals, tasks, people, but caring for the inside often gets postponed. Yet everything you do depends on how you feel within yourself. Let's take another simple breath of recognition together. A peaceful state is not a luxury. It is the natural base from which life works best. Now here's something practical. Taking moments through the day to simply be aware, even for a few minutes, is deeply nourishing. Not to analyze, not to judge, just to notice. Your body breathing, your heart beating, your thoughts moving, your emotions flowing without jumping in to control them. Alert, but not entangled. When you do this, slowly, the tension begins to dissolve because you're stepping out of the constant performance and simply watching life move through you. And this watching isn't distant or cold. It's full of presence, full of sensitivity, but without struggle. And bit by bit, your natural ease returns. Let's reset again here. Stillness does not mean withdrawal. Stillness means inner clarity within activity. Now let's explore hardship. Physical effort is part of life. Training your body, learning a skill, parenting, creating, working. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but when you choose effort willingly, it becomes uplifting, even joyful. You feel alive. But when effort feels forced, when you believe you have no choice, even the smallest task becomes a burden. So the real difference is not what you're doing, but whether your heart is aligned with it. Willingness creates joy. Resistance creates suffering. That's why the same action can feel like freedom one day and prison the next. So the question is not, how do I avoid effort? The deeper question is, how do I bring willingness back into my life? Because when you move willingly, the mind relaxes. It stops complaining. It joins the flow. Let's pause on that. Joy is not the absence of work. Joy is the presence of willingness. Now let's look at something that often goes unnoticed. Life is always moving. Nothing stays still. Your body changes. Your thoughts change. Your roles change. Your relationships evolve. The world shifts. Life itself is a journey, not towards something outside you, but deeper into recognition of what you already are. The problem begins when you try to freeze reality. You find a small comfort and cling to it. You build an identity around it. You try to secure it forever, and the mind becomes terrified of losing that comfort. But growth means movement, and movement means change. So if you want inner peace, it doesn't come from holding on to life. It comes from becoming fluid enough to move with it, rooted not in circumstances, but in a deeper sense of direction within. Here's another simple reorientation line. Let life move. You remain steady inside. Now let's talk about individuality. In this universe, you are extremely small, a tiny point in space, and yet you've been given the extraordinary privilege of experiencing existence as you. You get to see, feel, think, love, create, and express through this specific lens. That is a gift. Meditation, in the most natural sense, simply means honoring that gift, not dissolving into the crowd, not hiding inside a group identity, but recognizing, I am a unique expression of something vast. And from that recognition, you live more consciously. You become more aware of your choices, more sensitive, more alive. Let's pause. You are small in scale, but infinite in depth. That combination is what makes human life beautiful. Now let's explore sleep. Before you fall asleep at night, you usually carry your roles with you, your name, your story, your worries, your possessions, your emotions. But if before sleeping, you simply acknowledge, these are things I gathered, they are not what I am, and you mentally place them down for the night, you may find that you wake up lighter, more open, more present, because when you stop clinging to identity, even briefly, your being refreshes itself. It's like letting your inner world rest. Let's reset one more time. Peace doesn't arrive from adding new layers. It arrives when identity loosens its grip. Now let's talk about perception. When you are tense, your perception narrows. You miss obvious things. The key in your hand, the solution right in front of you, the kindness someone is offering, the path life is showing you, because tension reduces awareness. But when you are at ease, perception widens. You notice details. You respond more clearly. You sense possibilities. You see connections. So clarity is not something you chase. It is something that appears when tension dissolves. And tension dissolves when you stop fighting your inner world. Let's lay this out simply. When you're at ease, your natural intelligence wakes up. And when that intelligence wakes up, life becomes lighter. We'll continue unfolding all of this in Block 3, where we'll explore choice, freedom, suffering, and how your life becomes a reflection of your inner position, all in a grounded, human way. There's a point in life when you begin to notice something simple but powerful. You are not only reacting to the world, you are also shaping the way the world feels to you through your inner state. And once you see this even a little, it becomes impossible to ignore. For example, when you're joyful, the smallest things feel beautiful. A quiet morning, a cup of coffee, a bird song, a message from a friend. Even challenges feel lighter. You face them with creativity instead of fear. But when you're tense inside, the same world can feel cold and hostile. A simple comment sounds like criticism. A delay feels like rejection. A small problem feels massive. So what's really changing? You are. And that realization is both liberating and humbling. Because it means your life is not just happening to you. It is meeting you where you are internally. Not as reward, not as punishment, but as reflection. Let's pause gently here. Your inner state is the lens. Life is the scenery. The scenery matters, but the lens determines how you see it. And here's the quiet truth. You don't need to fix the world before you feel okay inside. Now let's talk about a word many people fear: responsibility. Not in the sense of blame, not in the sense of guilt, but in the simplest meaning, your ability to respond. When you realize that your inner state shapes your experience, you begin to develop a deeper ability to respond. Instead of reacting automatically, you slowly become more conscious. You see the reaction rising, you notice the pattern, you pause, and in that pause, choice appears. It may be small at first, but it's there. And that small space is the beginning of true freedom, because most suffering doesn't come from life itself. It comes from unconscious reaction. Let's reset here. Life brings situations. You bring the state, and the meeting of the two creates your experience. Now let's look deeper into suffering. Many people secretly believe that suffering is a sign of failure or punishment, but suffering is simply a signal, a gentle indicator that you are moving out of alignment with your natural way of being. Not morally, not spiritually, just energetically and emotionally. When you resist life, tension appears. When you cling, fear appears. When you shrink, anxiety appears. When you disconnect, numbness appears. But none of these states define you. They are expressions of misalignment, not as judgment, but as information. And once you recognize that, suffering becomes less frightening. Instead of feeling trapped in it, you begin to see it as a road sign. This way of relating to life is too tight, and slowly you loosen your grip. This is not about perfection, it is about honesty. Let's pause again. Suffering does not mean you are failing. It only means life is inviting you back to ease. Now let's explore freedom. Many people think freedom means getting rid of problems, but real freedom is discovering that your state does not have to collapse every time life changes. Because life will change. People come and go, jobs shift, health moves, dreams evolve, nothing stays fixed. So real stability isn't found outside you. Real stability is when your inner world becomes steady enough that you can move through change without constantly breaking inside. This doesn't mean becoming numb, it means becoming rooted. You still feel deeply, you still care, you still love, but your sense of being is no longer fragile. Let's recenter again. Freedom isn't the absence of change. Freedom is the ability to stay present within it. Now let's talk about choice. Every moment of your life, something subtle is happening. You are choosing how to relate to this moment, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. And those small choices shape your world. For example, you can choose openness, or you can choose resistance. You can choose curiosity, or you can choose judgment. You can choose presence, or you can choose distraction. These choices don't make you good or bad. They simply shape your state, and your state shapes your reality. Now, one of the most beautiful recognitions is this. Nobody else controls your inner state. People may influence you, circumstances may pressure you, old habits may pull you, but your final position inside belongs to you. That doesn't mean it's always easy, but it means you're never powerless. Let's pause for a human moment. You've been carrying your mind like a heavy bag on your shoulder for many years. And maybe this is the first time you're realizing you can gently set it down. You can still use it. You just don't need to live inside it. Now let's explore something subtle and profound. You are already complete. Not in the sense that your life is finished, not in the sense that you have nothing to learn, but in the sense that your basic awareness, the knowing that you exist, is whole right now. The mind searches for completion in achievements. Awareness simply rests in being, and the more you rest in being, the less frantic the search becomes. Not because you gave up, but because you remembered something deeper than striving. Let's reset again here. You don't have to earn your right to exist. You already exist, and that is enough as a foundation. Now let's talk about what happens when this recognition deepens. Your emotions begin to transform. When awareness is primary, emotion becomes movement of energy, something you experience, not something you are. You can feel sadness without drowning in it. You can feel anger without becoming destructive. You can feel joy without needing to cling to it. Emotions pass, awareness remains. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. And when you're clear, love becomes cleaner too. Not possession, not dependence, not fear of losing, but a natural expression of connection. Let's rest on this. Love grows stronger when fear relaxes, and fear relaxes when awareness becomes home. Now I want to speak gently to a very human tendency. Sometimes when people begin to wake up to their inner life, they start judging themselves harshly. Why am I still anxious? Why did I react again? Why am I not enlightened yet? But this isn't a race. Every moment of awareness is already progress. You are unlearning years of conditioning. Be kind to yourself as you remember. Before we continue, here's a soft reflection invitation with zero pressure. If you'd like, you can share one pattern you're starting to notice in yourself. Not to fix it, just to notice. Awareness itself is healing. Now let's talk about intensity. There is a deeper way of being alive where your entire being becomes present, not toward an object, not toward a goal, but toward life itself. In that state, your actions become cleaner, your presence becomes stronger. People may even feel something different around you, even if they can't explain it. This intensity doesn't come from ambition, it comes from alignment. You are no longer leaking energy into tension, fear, or excessive thinking, so your life force flows freely, not forced, just natural. And when you live like this, you don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to prove anything. Your very presence communicates clarity. Let's reset again here. Effort strains. Alignment flows. Now let's return to the mind for a moment. The mind is incredibly creative. It can imagine futures, replay memories, generate ideas, solve problems. But when the mind becomes the self, it starts controlling, fearing, defending, comparing, and that's when life becomes heavy. When awareness becomes the self, the mind relaxes into its true role. Helper, interpreter, communicator, but not ruler. And slowly the circus becomes a symphony again. Each part of you coordinated, each part playing its natural role. No chaos, just rhythm. We'll continue gently in Block 4, where the final movement of this script will open into quiet recognition and spacious awareness, without closing the topic, leaving room for life to continue unfolding naturally. As this journey continues, something gentle begins to reveal itself. You start noticing that life isn't just happening out there, it's also unfolding inside you. And the more you relax into awareness, the more the outer and inner worlds begin to feel connected. Not in a mystical way, simply in the sense that your response to life becomes part of what shapes your experience of it. And slowly, what once felt chaotic starts to feel meaningful, not dramatic, not loud, just quietly meaningful. Because now, you're not running from yourself anymore, you're actually here, breathing, present, alive inside the moment. Let's pause together for a soft breath. Right now, nothing is missing from this exact moment for it to be real. Now let's talk about something very human, the search. Almost everyone goes through life searching for something: safety, recognition, love, control, completion, meaning. And the mind believes that once it finds the missing piece, everything will settle. But notice this. Every time you achieve something, the mind soon asks for more. Not because you're greedy, but because the mind cannot rest in enough. It is built to compare, to measure, to project forward, which means it can never truly arrive. But awareness was never searching. Awareness is already here. So the piece you're looking for is not the end of the search. It is the place you recognize was quietly here before the search even began. Let's reset here. The mind wants arrival. Awareness is arrival. Now let's look at fear in a grounded way. Fear often feels like it's protecting you from life, but much of the time, it's protecting you from feeling uncertainty, from not knowing, from stepping outside the familiar pattern of thinking. But uncertainty is simply reality, without a mental story yet. And life has always been uncertain, yet somehow you've made it to this moment. So perhaps uncertainty isn't the enemy. Perhaps fear only becomes heavy when you believe you must control everything. When you loosen that belief, fear becomes lighter too. It may still appear, but it no longer defines the moment. Now let's explore relationship. Not romantic or social specifically, but your relationship with the world itself. When you believe you are separate from everything, life feels threatening. You feel small and alone. You defend yourself. You withdraw. You protect your identity. But as awareness deepens, you begin to sense connection. You feel part of life rather than outside it. Not in a mystical sense, just in a grounded, human way. You feel the earth beneath your feet. You hear the wind. You notice people around you, each living a full inner world as real to them as yours is to you. And somehow this recognition softens you. You become less harsh, less controlling, less afraid. Because now you're not fighting life, you're included in it. Let's pause again. Connection doesn't mean loud emotion. Sometimes it feels like quiet belonging. Now I want to talk about something tender, the part of you that is exhausted. There is a tiredness that comes not from physical work, but from pretending to be strong, pretending to be in control, pretending to be certain, pretending to be okay, pretending to always know what comes next. And awareness is the place where you finally stop pretending. You don't need to collapse, you don't need to fall apart. You simply stop acting. And for the first time, you allow yourself to be real. Sometimes that means tears, sometimes that means laughter. Sometimes it means silence, but whatever arises has room to exist without being judged. Let's recenter gently. Truth is simple. The mind complicates it. The heart recognizes it. Now let's talk about quiet strength. There is a kind of strength that doesn't need to shout, doesn't need to dominate, doesn't need to prove anything. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens outside, there is a place inside you that remains untouched. This strength is calm, soft, grounded. It allows you to act when needed and rest when not. It allows you to speak clearly and listen deeply. It allows you to stay steady, even when life shifts beneath your feet. This strength doesn't make you rigid. It makes you flexible, like a tree that bends in the wind and therefore does not break. Now let's bring this into daily life, when awareness becomes your base. You work, but you are not consumed by work. You love, but you do not lose yourself. You rest without guilt. You act without inner struggle. You feel without drowning. You exist without defending your right to exist. And ordinary life starts to feel extraordinary, not because it changed, but because you are finally present within it. Let's pause again here. Presence honors life as it is. Now there is something subtle I want to speak about, the idea of becoming better. Many people chase self-improvement endlessly. They try to improve their mind, their habits, their productivity, their body, their emotions. And while growth is natural, constant self-criticism is exhausting. Here is a quiet shift. Instead of trying to become a better version of yourself, you begin to become more yourself, more honest, more aware, more aligned. And when that happens, growth follows naturally. Not forced, not strained, just organic. Like a flower opening because the sun is present, not because it was commanded. Let's reset. Life grows where there is enough light and enough ease. Now let's talk gently about others. People who irritate you or trigger you are often simply acting from their own confusion, fear, or conditioning, just like you once did, just like you sometimes still do. And when you see this, judgment softens. You don't need to pretend to like harmful behavior, but you begin to see the human beneath it. And compassion becomes possible, not sentimental compassion. Just the recognition that everyone is doing the best they can from their current level of awareness, including you. And that realization releases a lot of inner tension. Let's pause softly. Kindness to others begins with kindness toward yourself. Now I want to share a simple but deep insight. Nothing you experience is permanent. Thoughts pass, emotions pass, roles pass, bodies age, situations change, but awareness remains. It has been with you in every single moment of your life, whether you noticed it or not. It was there in childhood. It is here now. It will be here in the final breath. And when you rest in that, something inside you finally feels safe, not because life became predictable, but because you remembered what doesn't change. Let's reset once more. You are the space in which life happens. Now we gently reach the third and final soft moment of reflection in this journey. Everything we've explored so far points toward a broader recognition about the nature of your inner world and the way life meets you there. We'll leave that recognition open so it can reveal itself naturally rather than being forced into words. Now let's walk the final stretch of this script slowly and quietly. As awareness deepens, you begin to live more consciously. You notice when you're drifting into old habits. You notice when tension builds. You notice when fear tightens the body. And instead of reacting instantly, you pause. You breathe, you feel, you allow the moment to be here. And from that stillness you respond. Sometimes firmly, sometimes softly, sometimes with action, sometimes with rest, but always with presence. And life slowly becomes less about control and more about relationship. You in relationship with your own awareness, you in relationship with the world, you in relationship with the mystery of simply being alive. Let's rest inside this thought. Life does not require you to be perfect. It only invites you to be present. Now, as we approach the quiet closing movement, I want to say something simple and sincere. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not failing. You are waking up to what has always been here. And that awakening does not need to be dramatic. It can be soft, subtle, gentle, almost unnoticeable, like dawn. One moment, the world is dark. Then slowly, almost quietly, light appears. And only later do you realize the day has begun. Let's pause and allow that feeling to sit with us. There is nothing you must become. There is only awareness unfolding within itself through the life you are living. And as that awareness grows, the mind is no longer overwhelmed, because now it is no longer alone. It has returned to its natural place inside the vastness of your being. And life continues. Tomorrow will still arrive. There will still be tasks. There will still be joys and challenges and unexpected moments. But you will meet them from a quieter place, more open, more steady, more real, not finished, not complete in a final sense, just deeply alive. And that is enough. Before we leave this space together, there is one final invitation, gentle and optional. If you'd like, you can share in the comments what this exploration opened inside you, or what you're beginning to notice about the way your inner state shapes your world. Not to analyze, not to perform, just to reflect. Sometimes naming the recognition helps it take root. And from here we simply continue. Life goes on. Awareness deepens. The mind learns to rest. And quietly, something inside you remembers how to be at ease in your own existence, not as a final destination, but as an ongoing, ever-unfolding experience of being here. Alive, awake, gently aware in this moment and the next, without needing to reach the end.